Hi, I'm Jay Ingram, and this is Hannah Lee. She's clinical director here at the Hearing Loss Clinic. She, of course, is an audiologist. And together, Hannah and I are going to show you just how easy and painless it is to have a hearing test. And you think, oh, easy for him to say, he's had them before, because we already know he wears hearing aids. But we're just going to show you how easy it is for anybody. So, Hannah, let's go.
All right, like come on into the booth. This is where it all starts. So you're gonna have a seat in here.
Yep.
And I always start with having a quick peek in both of your ears, make sure there's nothing in there that I need to be concerned about. Beautiful. Okay, so that's step one, and ears look perfect, nice and clear. So the next step is I'm going to give you a button here, and I'm going to give you that to hold on to.
Okay.
And I'm going to put some plugs in your ears.
This is the important step, really, in determining whether you have hearing loss, what kind of hearing loss it is, and what, if anything, should be done about it. I mean, it's not impossible that you could come in for a hearing test and find that, you know, nothing really has to be done. But my bet is if you have reached the point in your life where you think you need a hearing test, then probably something has to be done.
So, as I said, I'm going to get started with your hearing test. I'm going to start with your right ear first.
Okay.
And whenever you hear a beep, even if it's a really tiny beep that you hardly hear, I still want you to go ahead and push that button, okay?
Okay, yep. Okay, Hannah, so these are the results of the test that I just did. What do they tell you?
Okay, so they tell me a few things. One thing I'm looking at is, are your two ears the same? If they are, that's a great thing. If they're not, sometimes I wonder why. Yours are very similar. Your right is a little bit worse than your left. So these red circles here, that's all for your right ear. And the blue X's are all for your left ear. Okay, so they follow that very same pattern. Your right ear is just a little bit worse.
It's totally fascinating. Now, of course, I wear hearing aids, as you and I and everybody else now knows. But I know that you have another display, a kind of simulation that will give us an idea of how much my hearing aids make speech clearer.
Yes.
And it's what, across the aisle?
It's cross into the other room and we can go and check that out.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
So Hannah, we're in front of the simulator now, and there are a couple of, looks like displays of hearing, but they don't look exactly the same as mine looked across the hall. So what are we looking at?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So across the hall, and it's similar on here, we sort of saw that gradation down, right? So you had more normal hearing at the lower frequencies dropping to a higher frequency hearing loss. Yep. And actually what we end up seeing on here is the opposite. So they basically just invert the scales, okay? Yep. So this is actually, this dotted line here is what your hearing loss is. Okay. So before it was like this, now it's like this. Same hearing loss, different scale. Right. And then this one here is actually normal hearing. So same with the red for right, blue for left. So this is the idea of what somebody with normal hearing would have versus what your hearing loss is like.
So those are the lines on the graph. What can this actually tell us?
So this actually is a really nice tool to show what somebody with normal hearing might be hearing in a conversation versus what somebody with hearing loss would also be hearing. And so if I go into my sort of normal tab here and I click on this, you can hear what somebody with normal hearing would hear for this conversation.
Okay.
So you're not going to be able to do this, is that what you're telling me?
I'm telling you that's probably what I'm going to do.
You're just going to sit here and listen?
Yes.
Tell me that'll work. How was your day?
Okay, so this is sort of normal speech where that normally falls. So you can see with normal hearing, it's pretty easy to hear that, pretty clear. When I put in your hearing loss and I play that same simulation, you'll hear the difference between normal hearing and what your hearing is.
Okay.
So you're not going to be able to do this.
And of course, normally I'd say, pardon?
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't understand, well, even having heard it a few seconds earlier.
Right.
I couldn't really understand that.
Right. A big difference between what somebody with normal hearing hears versus somebody with hearing loss. You can just see how many speech cues get taken out, how much you have to concentrate to actually hear that, and then how much further you have to concentrate to understand all of those words.
Okay, so there we were comparing my hearing loss with normal hearing, but I wear hearing aids. Now, is it fair to say that my hearing aids, well, I mean, I was able to understand that perfectly. So my hearing aids do the work of trying to bring that sound up to normal.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Shannon.
Okay, you're very welcome.